carbon fee or carbon tax and dividend. Now, politicians not supposed to use the T word, but honesty is really important, so I'm gonna call it what it is. But what does that actually mean? What it means is that we make sure the price of activities that put a lot of carbon in the atmosphere reflects the long-term cost that they have for society. Because we're going to pay it one way or the other. It's just that if we pay it up front, we can prevent climate change from biting us. But how do we make sure that that doesn't make us all worse off, right? I mean, if that makes it more expensive to drive, if that makes it more expensive to farm, we could be creating a problem. That's why I think what we ought to do is take all of the money that's collected through that and rebate it right back out to the American people. And do it in a progressive way. So that for most of us, we are better off after this was added than before. But meanwhile, we've changed the signals that the economy sends around what's okay. So that's the thing we got to do. Another thing we got to do is at least quadruple U.S. federal research and development on things that could make this problem better. You hear a lot about renewables, that's part of it. But I think we also need to do a lot on energy storage, because battery technology has a long way to go. And maybe even carbon storage, ways to take carbon out of the atmosphere. Not as an excuse to keep putting it back in, but because without that, it's going to be very hard to meet our goals. If we, as I will, for example, recommit to Paris and start going beyond. Now, I want to mention one other thing that I think is important, especially when we're in rural communities. I think a lot of rural Americans hear about climate and they feel like we're beating them over the head with it, like we're telling them they're part of the problem. Now, of course, rural America has a lot to lose because of the climate disruption that's happening. I mean, I'm seeing waterlogged fields, and I know that climate and weather aren't the same thing, but they sure are related. And yet the message has been that this could be at the expense of rural America. I actually think the quest for a net zero emissions farm is one of the most exciting projects America could take on. It would be an incredible contribution to the world. And we know that from soil management to the way that fleet and equipment work, we could move in that direction. And it would be an amazing way to ask rural America to help lead us in getting this right. And I think we got to flip the script on that, because everybody's got to be part of this. Dealing with climate has to be a national project. Just like the national project that was kicked off with the Pearl Harbor bombing, that we had to rise and fight, or the national project that started when we realized what was happening with the Soviet Union when they put a satellite in space before we did. Only this time we have a national project that isn't just about fighting other human beings, which is kind of a nice quality for it to have. The national project is to conquer climate and lead the world in doing so. And I think it'll help us all stand taller, it'll help us organize our efforts, and it'll help us secure the future.